So today I'm interviewing Danielle Garber. Am I saying that correctly, the
You
surname?
are. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. Danielle Garber, and she is the founder of Be More You. Is it Be More You online or just Be More You?
So it's Be More You branding and marketing, but the Instagram handle is Be More You online.
That's right. Okay, so if you want to find her on Instagram, it's Be More You online. But she's the founder of Be More You branding and marketing. And today she's going to chat to us about the 3 reasons to focus on you. 3 reasons to focus on you. And Danielle's actually signed up for the Intentional Life Strategy for Success group coaching program. So she's going to be in this intake that's starting soon. So if you want to join her, there's a link in the post. Don't forget to go click and check it out. But in the meantime, we're going to start off with Danielle, and she's going to share 3 reasons to focus on you. And these are her top 3 reasons. And she knows a lot about this because she works with brands and personal brands. And also she works on herself a lot. And she's seen great success from it already. So Danielle, over to you. What are those 3 reasons to focus on you?
Thanks, Therese. I'm excited to have this opportunity today because I called my company Be More You for a reason. Because I think, with the businesses that I work with, people just really benefit from bringing more of themselves to the table. And so there's a few different ways that works, but one of the biggest reasons that I think you should be more focused on you, number one, would be to enhance your impact. So I think there are so many ways that we uniquely bring our magic to the table and to the world, and we do that when we're being authentic to ourselves, when we are bringing us to the table and we're saying things in the way that we see things, when we're putting our unique kind of spin on it. That's when we have that opportunity to really connect with people, and to, when people have heard the same thing 100 times and they've heard it said in the same way, it loses that impact. And you have somebody that will come along and it will be the same concept, but they'll put their unique spin on it. And all of a sudden that connects with somebody in a way that they've never connected with that before. So I just think, in terms of the impact that you can have with people, that human connection is so important. And that doesn't come when you're being a cookie cutter of everything that's come before. That comes when you're just being you and you're expressing yourself the way that you want to do it. And you're running your business or you're running your life. It doesn't have to be business. I think, even with our friends and our families, very often it's not the message, it's the messenger. And so when you are being more yourself, that's when you're going to have the biggest impact on the people around you, on the world around you. And I think that the way that I would, I'd say to people is that, if you're thinking, well, do I really need to enhance my impact? Ask yourself, who suffers if I'm not expressing myself fully? Who's going to lose out? If I'm not bringing my A game. For me, it would be really easy to take a back seat with my business sometimes. But the reality is, the people that I help change people's lives. They're naturopaths, they're nutritionists, they're integrative medicine doctors, they're scar therapists, they're yoga teachers, they're, life coaches, and all of those people. And the way that they can impact people's life is profound. But they can't do that if nobody knows about them. If nobody can find them and nobody can hear their message, then they don't, if they don't get customers, then nobody's life changes. So if I can help them to get found, and if I can help them, to be seen in a more credible light, if I can help them to express their unique magic, then, my God, the impact that I can have on people is massive. I can save lives from my desk. I don't have to do that, but that for me, that's my, that's kind of one of my motivators to, for wanting to enhance my impact. So, that's what I would say to people, is ask yourself, who suffers? Is it my children? Is it my husband? Is it my family? Is it the business? Is it the community? Whoever, but I think we all have that reason to want to enhance our impact. The next reason I would say to focus on you is that so many of us just go through life on autopilot, and I'm definitely guilty of this. But I've worked with a lot of coaches, and one of the things that they try and focus you on, and it's one of the things that I focus people on when I'm doing their brand work, is your values. Every brand that I build for somebody is built on their values, on their business values and their personal values, because it's, again, that's that connection. Like, people connect with values on a level that, that they wouldn't, they're just not interested really in products and services. Like, they're interested in the thing behind that. So I think when you are aware of what your values are, and you live through your values, you just have this, you have this ability to impact the world. But also, we all then find our groove, kind of find our niche, and come to the world in a slightly different way. And it's that when that all works together and everybody is just coming along and they are living their values, and we'll all have very different ones, but you just get this perfect, like, blend of skills and passion that come out of that, which is just beautiful to see. And you see it in groups when that happens, and it's magical.
I often say, just to interrupt you quickly, if that's right, I often say to my clients that whenever they're feeling frustrated about something, it's actually a values disconnect. So there's something that, or if they're feeling like just uncomfortable, those kinds of feelings, even if it's sometimes overwhelmed, some of those things, there's often a values disconnect. So there's something that's happening in their life that's not connecting them with their values or their promises or their commitments to themselves.
And I think we convince ourselves sometimes that what we value isn't necessarily important, because it isn't necessarily important to somebody else. But so one of my core values is beauty. I have to be surrounded by beauty. Like, I have literally, like, I can show you like a million like plants and just beautiful things.
And your branding is always beautiful. Like, in the background, it's lush and it's gorgeous.
But I have to have that. I have to be in nature. Like, I have to have beautiful things around me. And there's always been part of me that's felt like that's really frivolous. But actually, when I create something that's really beautiful, and even silly things like cheese boards, like, I will like order like edible flowers, and it is, you look at it, it is just a thing of beauty, and people are like, oh, this is incredible. But that moment, like, that's worth something. That, like, just being able to inject that little bit of beauty into somebody's world, into somebody's day, like that, that over time just has this profound impact. But there's been such a long time that I've kind of felt like, oh, maybe that's not a good value to have. Ultimately, that's who I am. It's what's important to me. So
and what energizes you, I'm sure, and motivates you and gives you all of the feelings, that you can do other things, other great things. So I'm sure, when you're creating that cheese board, you're like, wow, I can do this beautiful thing, and people appreciate the beauty.
And people still talk about it. It's so funny. We have friends, and they're like, oh gosh, like 2 years ago, like that board that you did, and it's insane. Like, I love doing it. I put a lot of effort into it, but you think it stays with people. Like, when you're coming from a place of your values, it stays with people. It really, I keep coming back to impact, but that's what it is, and whether your values are, honesty or integrity or beauty or calm or serenity, whatever that is, when you are living by that value, you're just adding power to it, and you're spreading that in the world. So, I think that is so important. And then lastly, I would say, if you need any more reasons to focus on you, I think, like, those are those. But lastly, it's just because nobody else will. And I see this a lot. Like, I don't have kids, but all of my friends have very young kids. And I think especially like mums and, mums, wives, like women, we're just like, I was going to say we're terrible at it. It's one of our strengths. It's also one of our weaknesses.
Yeah.
But, you know, as humans, we are pre-programmed to survive, you know, and the way that we do that is we focus, our brains are programmed to focus on what we need to survive and what we want to survive. Now, what happens in our world is, like, if you're a mum or if you're an employee, you end up getting pulled in all these different directions of all these other people, of what they need, you know, of what your kids need or want in that second, you know. And especially, I think, if you've got you know, high achieving people around you, you know, they're so focused on their goals and they want everybody else to help them to achieve their goals, and which is brilliant, you know, and there's a space for that. But equally, if that comes at the cost of you just surviving rather than thriving, you know, it comes back to who misses out if I'm not on my A game, like who misses out if I'm not bringing my best self to the table, you know. And I know it probably sounds very easy for me to say when people were like, you know, oh, well, you don't have kids, you don't understand. You know, I come from a family where both of my parents worked, and my mum had her own business, a really successful business, and it was a catering business that meant that she had to be out of the house at 5:30 every morning, which meant that from a fairly young age, my brother and I had to be able to get ourselves up, you know, brush our teeth, have breakfast and stuff like that, because my dad was working. And we'd go to a childminder who would get us to school, and then we'd come back. And, you know, especially as I got older, you know, mum wasn't always there, like when we got home from school. But that, to us, that wasn't a, you know, we didn't feel like she wasn't, you know, like she wasn't there for us. We were inspired. You know, my brother and I, we had a fantastic lifestyle, you know, and she was fulfilled because she was being her best self. You know, she had that confidence of, I'm running a really successful business. I'm able to, you know, we're able to have a beautiful family home because I'm doing this. You know, we're able to go on beautiful holidays and things like that. So, you know, I think it's very easy to get pulled in that direction of feeling like, you know, she could have been like, well, I need to pick my kids up from school, you know, but actually we wanted her to be her best self. We wanted her to, you know, to be on her A game and be happy and be contented and, you know, feel like she was fulfilling her dreams, because that inspired us to follow our own path.
And so often we're, you know, influenced by others or our family members or social media and advertising saying this is what you should do. You should be, you know, fully present with your children all the time, or you should be, you know, an employee that's there between 8 and 6 every evening and putting in all the hard hours. But no, that's, you know, all of the shoulds are not necessarily what's for you. Like the combination of things is all different.
It's insane now. I mean, luckily, like, you know, I grew up in the 80s. So, you know, and my parents had come from the whole kind of culture of, like, you put your kids out in the morning and I hope they come home in the afternoon. Like, you know, like, what's the worst that could happen kind of thing, you know? So they were kind of, you know, it was, I think, like, things had started to change, but, you know, things were, it was not the level of expectation that there is now, that you will fulfill every single one of your child's emotional and educational needs, like, every day. And it's just like, like they'll probably be all right, you know.
But yeah, they will. They really will. Yeah, and it's also about, you know, people defining that for themselves. Like, what is that combination? What is that, you know, what is that portion of priority that they want to put into different areas of their life? And it's going to be different. It's going to be like a completely different, and I think you said it earlier, you said everybody's actually different. And when you're willing to understand that you're a little bit different, or that you've got this unique, you know, way of life that you want to create for yourself, that's when you become impactful. And it requires a bit of bravery, and it requires a little bit of courage to step into that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a gift for me. Like, I've always been a bit weird. Like, you know, I was always the slightly strange child at school, slightly quirky. There was always something a bit different. So I'm used to it now. I'm used to going against the grain because I've always been like that. You know, and I feel like I've kind of always seen the world slightly different from, you know, from the sort of norm. And I think it is really difficult when you've been programmed to do this, do this, do this. But I think you feel it in here. You know, you feel that there is something more. You feel that you are something more. You know, that you have more to give, that there's more out there. And, you know, and I think if you're feeling that, then you have to follow that. You've got to, you know, you have to take notice for what your body's telling you, what your, you know, what your soul is screaming out for you to do. But just, you know, I think it's so important. You can't ignore it.
Yeah, agreed. Awesome, Danielle. Thank you so much for sharing those 3 reasons. I think they're incredibly powerful reasons, you know, for people to start focusing more on themselves and start investing more on themselves. And I think this whole, you know, the investing in yourself piece is quite a new concept and quite difficult for people to really wrap their heads around. You've taken the step to also enroll. I mean, you've enrolled in lots of courses. You're always developing yourself, which is amazing. You've enrolled in the Intentional Life Strategy for Success group coaching program. I'm really excited to have you. What's that? Or tequila?
I'm having a swig of tequila.
Nice. Good for you. It's enough time. I mean, it's fine. So you've enrolled in the Intentional Life Strategy for Success group coaching program. I'm really excited to get started. And I just wanted to ask, you know, for those who are kind of sitting on the fence or who are interested in joining, why did you join? Why did you sign up? What are the reasons that you wanted to do this particular program?
It's funny because I sort of dipped into the you know, I mean, I work in marketing, so it's always funny when I see like the marketing that really hits home. You know, it's like, are you this? I'm like, yes. Do you struggle with it? Yes, I do. I think as a creative, I am, you know, I really suffer from shiny thing syndrome. You know, and I think one of the worst things when you work in brand marketing is that you are aware of all the things that you could be doing in your business, you know, as well as actually running your business. It's like, oh, I could do this, I could do this. And I'm an ideas person, so like they're just there, so many different things that I could do. And I think because of that, in the past, I've really suffered with actually getting on and doing it. You know, when you're a highly creative person and, you know, you don't have that analytical sort of finisher completer side to you, you start lots of things.
Yeah.
But it can feel like you're not really, you know, there's lots going on, you know, or, you know, nothing's really happening. And I think I've got to that point in my business now where there was some mindset stuff that had been holding me back, and I've really worked on getting past that. And now I'm like, I really want to help people. You know, because of all the things I said, you know, when I help people, like the whole world changes, you know, and it's just incredible. And you know, and I've seen that on a daily basis, like with people that I've worked with, and then I'm like, oh, actually, can I send my mum to you? Like, because she's got, you know, and the impact that that's had on her life and things like that. And I just think, you know, she's one person that they've helped, and if this one person can go and help another 10 people, and the impact that has, and it's exponential. So I need to, like, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, I'm sure you. It's Saturday, right?
Shit done. Like, I've got shit to do, you know, I've got important stuff to do, you know, and I think there's a lot of people like that, you know, they've got the book to write, they've got, you know, a dream to express, or, you know, and they need their life to work to be able to enable them to do that. And that for me, I was just like, yeah, I need this, you know, I really, really need to have that kind of structure, that organization that wraps around, that doesn't, you know, it doesn't stop me from being creative. It doesn't pull all those kind of ideas back in. It just orders them in a nice way that means that I can actually start achieving those things and taking them off.
100%. So I'm sure you've done courses or programs like this in the past. Is this any different to those? I mean, was there like one bit of difference that came with when you saw the marketing and the sales page and the things that I was putting out? Was there anything different that sparked your interest in it?
I think for me, like the productivity, and it's funny because I know Chanel was promoting the course and you were doing it in the Build Your Brand Online group as well. And I think there were so many elements of what she was saying about the organization, and it's funny actually because there are so many different coaches and they talk loosely around the productivity and they say you have to have these things in order. And I know, there's part of my brain that knows that needs to happen. But it's just actually, okay, well, how do I get from being over here knowing that I need to do that to that actually being something that I do? Because at the moment I'm over here knowing that I need to do that, and I've read so many incredible books and I'm like, oh, this is life-changing. But it's only life-changing when you actually do it. You have to action it. And I think that, there was just something, the way that you were talking about things, that really resonated. And I just felt like, actually, I need to focus solely on this. I need to have, a course that is focused solely on this thing and not, not another sort of business course that is focusing me on lots of other things and then talking to me about productivity and how I structure my life. Actually, I need something that is looking at how I structure my life without the distraction of everything else.
And then all the other things will fall into place.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm incredibly passionate about, is I really enjoy taking concepts from out there. So I read lots and lots of books too, but taking those concepts and making them practical, because that's what I found is missing, is that practical step. How do you actually implement this into your life? How do you, put it in, into the processes? How do you fit it into what you're currently doing? And that's the missing link that I fulfill, or I, want to fulfill for people. Thank you, Danielle. And also, what is it? I'm going to ask you a really tough question now. So what do you stand to lose if you had not enrolled in this program?
I think for me, it really hit home actually because of lockdown. So I'm in the UK. I know you're in the UK as well. So we've had basically a year of our lives that has pretty much been in lockdown or some form of lockdown. And I think when I first started lockdown, I sent a friend of mine a list of all these things I was going to do in lockdown. It's hilarious. It's like, I'm going to be doing clapping press ups by the end of lockdown, and actually with all these things that I thought I was going to get done, and the reality was I got out of the first lockdown and all I'd managed to do was put on a stone. And I just
that's not as bad as some people, so don't stress about it.
It's fine. I've used the last lockdown to try and reverse that, but I just think it would be so easy to go back into normal life. It's looking like that's going to be a reality at some point fairly soon, but it'd be so easy to just go back in and just carry on with the status quo of doing what I'm doing and not actually pushing anything forward and not achieving those things and not putting out into the world all of the ideas that I've got, and I just think there are so many things that I want to do that I know will have a profound impact, not just on the people that I work with, but the people that they work with. And so, if I don't do this course, if I don't get my shit together, if I don't do that and actually start actioning this stuff, then it's just lost. They're just wasted ideas, and and it all kind of just falls flat, and then I end up just feeling really disappointed in myself and just sort of thinking, well, I could have done that. I don't want to be one of those people that say, could have done, I could have been, I could have been this, I could have been that, I could have done this. I don't want to be that person. I want to be the person that can have that conversation with myself, not with the rest of the world, but think, you did that, well done.
Yeah,
there we go. Have a cup of tea and a biscuit, celebrate. But it's really simple, but that for me is what it comes down to, is that, I can help people who help people on a profound level. But, like I said before, I can't do that if I'm not taking the actions that I need to take. And if I'm just here spinning a million plates around, not really being strategic about the way that I move forward in the world, then it all kind of falls apart. And I've got people who need me. They need my help. They need me to be on my A game. So that, I think, it's not just what I lose out on, it's what everyone else loses out on.
Yeah. And it's exactly what you've said before. It's that compounding effect that you have on the world. Like just by you doing the right things, you have this compounding effect on so many other people in the world, which is incredible. So you have a responsibility in a way.
Yeah. And I think you have to look at that in the end, because if you don't start really being accountable to yourself, you kind of make yourself think, oh, it's not really that important, I can put it off. But actually the reality is, it is important. It's important to the people that I help, and it's definitely important to the people that they help. So I think there's that level of, actually I need to make myself accountable, and realize how important this is.
Thank you, Danielle. It's been amazing chatting with you. And I love the fact that your brand just fits so perfectly into, this conversation that we're having. It's, be more you. And that's not just for, brands. It's also for individuals. I know you work a lot with personal brands as well. So regardless of whether you are a brand or a business owner, I think all of these reasons are incredibly important for you. So I hope whoever's been watching or watching on the replay, I hope you've taken lots of value. In the post, you will see a link to the Intentional Life Strategy for Success group coaching program. So go and have a look at it and sign up. And if you have any questions on it, feel free to DM me on Facebook. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Danielle. And I hope everybody has an amazing weekend. It's time to be more you.
Oh, take care.